Hi, everybody. Dr. Coach Kelly here, answering a great question that I saw on a Facebook group, and it was, how do I speed the healing of a pulled calf muscle? How do I speed the healing of a pulled calf muscle? We get questions like this a lot of, like, how do I make this better faster? Or what am I supposed to do right after I hurt something? We all probably are familiar with the old acronym RICE, RICE, and RICE stood for rest, ice, compression, and elevate. That's kind of old school. The research has come out now, and there's a really good article in the British Journal of Sports Medicine with this acronym, which is peace and love. Peace and love. So most injuries need peace and love. Most injuries don't need RICE. So peace, protect, elevate, avoid anti-inflammatories, compression, education. So some of the RICE principles still apply, except for the rest part. We still want to elevate and compress, and we don't necessarily want to ice anymore. And we'll get to that in a second. And then love, right? So this is really acutely. This happened 3 seconds ago. What am I supposed to do with this? Protect it, elevate it, avoid taking anything if you can, compress, and learn about what the heck is going on with your body and condition. After probably not that long, maybe a day or two of piecing your injury, we want to love it. We want to load. We want to think of it with optimism. We want to vascularize the area, and we got to exercise. Now, really, exercise hits the love component. We'll say that exercise hits the love component because exercise is going to bring blood to the area. That's what vascularization is. Exercise is going to load the tissue in an adequate and appropriate way. And exercise is going to make you feel better that you're doing something about the injury itself. So while today's question is about a calf injury, this, as a principle, really covers a lot of acute injuries and a lot of acute injuries that you see on a pickleball court. So I think as we start kind of this video and answering question series, this is going to be a good bang for our buck thing to learn, because it's going to help us answer a lot of questions in the future. The reason that my job exists as a physical therapist is because this alone isn't enough information. It's not enough specific information for the general population. It's a great start. It's a great start. But the reason my job exists is mostly for this part, because people don't know how much to do. People don't know if it's okay to push through the pain. What's a good hurt and what's allowed to hurt and what's not allowed to hurt. People don't know how to get adequate blood flow to the area. People get really concerned about swelling, and we want a certain degree of swelling because swelling is our body's way of responding to an emergency, right? Responding to potential tissue damage. But the love part here is why my job exists. It's really hard if you go to an orthopedist and they say, well, just stop doing that. It drives me nuts when people say that. Hurts my arm when I throw, hurts my wrist when I serve, it hurts my leg when I reach for a ball. Then stop doing that. That's a song for another time. That's a different story. So see a physical therapist is the short answer to how do I get my strained calf to get better faster. Go see a PT. That's why our job exists. Our job exists to guide you through this part of the healing process. A lot of it's going to depend on the severity of what's going on, right? The amount of muscle tissue that's involved. Making sure that it's only muscle tissue involved. I'll do another video on kind of the anatomy and how things heal and how long it takes for things to heal. But it'll depend on the degree, the tissue involved, the degree of the injury, your previous level of fitness, we'll say. It's a lot faster to heal an active person than it is to heal a couch potato for a myriad of reasons. But if you are active, you're setting yourself up, even if you get injured, to heal faster. You just are. It'll depend on, what did we say already? The tissue involved, the degree of the tear of the tissue, how your condition was prior to this injury, how much you're sleeping, how much you're hydrating, the food that you're eating, all plays a pretty significant role in healing and getting better faster. I will say this too. I'm going to close out the video here, but I will say this. They can come up with all the gadgets they want. They can make compression boots, they can make Theraguns, they can make ice chambers, they can make saunas, they can make all the things. Nothing, at least in my lifetime, I can pretty confidently say, will come close to sleeping adequately and restfully, hydrating adequately, eating good stuff. That fourth, if I could throw a fourth one in there, managing your stress. If those four things are where they should be and set, you're going to get better quick. If one of those four things needs some work on it, it's going to slow the healing process. So that's your best bet. I always tell my athletes when we leave practice, drink a lot of water and sleep a lot. If I could add a third one in, it would be eat good food, right? Eat good, real food. Because they're not secrets. I want to say secrets to recovery. They're not secrets. Everybody knows that they should do that. It's being held accountable to that's the reason that coaches exist too. So again, to set the stage, wrap up here. Peace and love. Out with the rice, in with the peace and love. Protect, elevate, avoid taking anti-inflammatories. Compress, educate. Learn about what's going on with you and learn about it from a good source. For God's sake, don't listen to the teenagers on TikTok. Don't listen to the people with no experience on YouTube. For God's sake. Oh my God, the number of times I get people in here and they're like, yeah, I started this video on TikTok and I started to do this thing and it really kind of made it worse. I'm like, yeah, I know it made it worse. I'm sure it made it worse. Maybe it was a chance it was going to get better. Get your education from an adequate source, for goodness sake. Okay, and be skeptical of where you get it from, including me. Look up my stuff. Make sure that you trust me and you like me and you think I can help you before you even reach out to me, please. Love, load, optimism, vascularize, exercise. This is my favorite thing in the whole world. And I'm really glad that I think the paradigm is shifting into peace and love. I appreciate you. Thank you for spending some time and your attention with me today. Keep moving and keep getting better every day.